not have the right to own property. When they were married, the property would transfer to the husband, or she would not be able to dispense of it without permission of her husband. In Britain, perhaps the first Western country to give women some property rights, laws were passed in the year 1870, known as Married Woman Property Act. More than 1,000 years earlier, that right was clearly established in Islamic law. Even from a spiritual point of view, women were uplifted by Islam because the the Quran tells us that believing men and women are rewarded by God equally for similar actions. For men and women who are devoted to God, believing men and women, obedient men and women, truthful men and women, steadfast men and women, humble men and women, charitable men and women, fasting men and women, chaste men and women who remember God often. God has prepared forgiveness and a rich reward. For the sake of comparison, at the time of the revelation of the Quran, the Church was still holding council meetings to debate whether or not women even have souls. Had Muhammad been the author of the Quran, he would have had absolutely nothing to gain by uplifting the status and rights of women. In tribal Arabia, quite the opposite, in fact, as the stance of the Quran only served to alienate and create enemies of those who were in positions of power over women and had a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. Rejection of the superstitions of the Arabs. Arab society held many superstitious beliefs at the time of Prophet Muhammad. This was only natural given that they lacked the technology to examine the world around them and had high rates of illiteracy. It is estimated that the number of literate persons in the region of western Saudi Arabia, the locality of Muhammad, did not exceed 17. History has recorded a large number of myths and superstitions pertaining to the Arabs, such as the belief that certain months of the year brought bad luck. There is a notable incident recorded that on the same day that the infant son of Prophet Muhammad died, there was an eclipse of the sun and moon. The people linked the two events together by saying that even the sun and moon were saddened by the death of his child. Prophet Muhammad personally denounced such beliefs, saying, "The sun and the moon do not eclipse because of the death or life, birth of someone." Is there really any reason why Prophet Muhammad would go against the superstitions of his people, especially when he came from a tribal culture that blindly followed the traditions of their forefathers? Had Muhammad been an impostor, then this would have been the perfect opportunity to take advantage of the ignorance of the people. But he didn't. Moreover, it was against this backdrop of superstition and myth that the Quran was revealed. The Quran also records some of the superstitions of the Arabs, such as their worship of the sun and the moon. The night, the day, the sun, the moon are only a few of his signs. Do not bow down in worship to the sun or the moon, but bow down to God who created them if it is truly him that you worship. Not only does the Quran utterly reject such beliefs, but as we've seen in an earlier chapter, it also contains a deep insight into areas of science such as astronomy and embryology. These concepts are presented in such a way that they make sense to the 7th century Arab and also to us living in the 21st century. They are in perfect harmony with modern scientific discoveries. How could Muhammad, unable to read or write and living in a society that lacked the technology to understand the world around him, have authored such a book? Muhammad did not boast about the Quran. We have a very detailed account of the life of Muhammad, more so than any other human being in history, including the smallest of details, such as how he slept, ate, and even how he used to smile so much that you could see his premolar teeth. Yet none of his companions or enemies ever recorded him boasting about the many amazing aspects of the Quran that we've covered in this book. Now, for the sake of argument, if a human being were able to craft a work of the magnitude of the Quran with all of these amazing aspects, such as its relevancy, literary features, and structure, then wouldn't we expect them to boast about it in a land filled with poets, where poetry was highly valued? Even just one of these aspects, taken by itself, would rightfully be worthy of praise, as much as such an achievement would have.